Hey, I'm Gary Payton at the Seattle Superfan.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf.
John Sue with
the Favorite.
Nate Burleson. You're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam. You're watching NorbCam.
AskNorb.
What's up, everybody? This is NorbCam, and this is AskNorb,
AskNorb,
where I take videos from you, the viewers. You send in your questions, and I'll put them up, and I'll answer them to the best of my ability. To get your video featured on a future AskNorb segment, all you got to do is send your video to @NorbCam on Instagram or Twitter, or you can email it to me at norb@norbcam.com or on Facebook, NorbCam. And just a quick reminder, don't forget to subscribe to NorbCam and hit that notification bell. That way you'll get a notification every time a new video is released. All right. Let's get to it, to the questions.
Norb, I was just wondering what we Seahawks fans should look out for in preseason week 2 against the Vikings. I'm going to look for DK Metcalf because he didn't get past a lot.
Charlie from Minnesota, thanks for your AskNorb question. That's a really good one. I know a lot of people were looking to see some exciting plays from DK Metcalf. This time we are going to see Russell Wilson on the starting offense and a little more starters on defense playing in this game. So I am, like you, very excited to see the connection between Russell Wilson and DK Metcalf, see what they can get going on. Not to mention the other receivers, probably the deepest position that we've got in the entire team, and we're only going to end up keeping 5 or 6 of them. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with John Ursua, Jazz Ferguson, Gary Jennings fighting for those very coveted wide receiver positions. On the defensive side of the ball, the battle for a safety position, Marquise Blair had a very physical, exciting game to watch in his debut against the Broncos, and you got Tedrick Thompson, who's kind of right now the starting free safety. So those two are kind of battling for the safety position. Let's see what those guys do in this upcoming game. And then we got the strong safety position. Right now it goes to Bradley McDougald. We got Lano Hill trying to battle for that position. On the running back side, Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, of course, are your main guys, but let's see what happens in the backups there behind those guys. We got JD McKissick and we got Homer. CJ Prosise, been waiting for that guy to do his thing, but man, he just cannot shake the injury bug, and that might be it for him if he can't get something going this preseason and prove what he can do. The defensive line, who's going to be fighting for that starting defensive line position? We've got a lot of guys since we've got Jaron Reed suspended, LJ Collier injured, Ziggy Ansah injured as well. So there's a lot of battles going on there. So watch for that in this upcoming game.
AskNorb.
Hey Norb, Patrick Harang here. What are the chances of Jazz Ferguson making the team?
Patrick, thanks for your AskNorb question. Jazz Ferguson making the team. I know everybody, like myself, was quite impressed in that first game against the Broncos. Jazz Ferguson, 4 big catches on 4 targets, got a touchdown, pretty big physical guy, did kind of what everybody was hoping DK Metcalf would do. But let's not get too excited. It's just the first game, and it was in the second half, which was against those backups. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do if he gets a chance to go against some of those starting defensive personnel. We all remember what happened with Clayton Williams, who had an amazing preseason, having all kinds of amazing catches, and then he didn't end up even making the team. But sometimes there's a lot more that goes beyond just what you see in a preseason highlight reel that happens during the day-to-day practices, what they do on special teams. Those are the things that are going to decide whether Ferguson makes this very deep receiving core. I'm pulling for the guy, but we got 5 slots, and not everyone's going to get one. So we'll see what he can do.
NorbCam, quick question. DK Metcalf versus Graham. Is he going to be more significant and more superior as an offensive weapon?
Ruben from Tacoma, thanks for your AskNorb question. Will DK Metcalf be superior than Jimmy Graham was as a tight end for the Seahawks? While the expectations for DK Metcalf are pretty high as a rookie, the expectations for Jimmy Graham when he came in as an established player from the Saints were a heck of a lot higher, and I think he had a lot more to try to live up to than DK Metcalf. A lot of people consider Jimmy Graham a bust or a trade that if they could go back, they wouldn't make it. Even though he had one of the most productive tight ends in the Seahawks history, people, I think, just expected he would be doing what he did with the Saints, but it just never quite became that because we're 2 totally different offenses, 2 different teams. Our expectations for DK Metcalf in comparison, I think he has the chance to become as productive as Jimmy Graham was as a tight end. DK Metcalf, I think his upside is huge. He's got the body like a Jimmy Graham, and he's faster than Jimmy Graham, jumps a little bit higher than him, maybe not as tall, but that said, a lot of it is going to be determined what he can do to bring up his game from where he is now. He's very fast, but as we know in the NFL, it's more than just straight up speed that gets you to become a great receiver. You've got to have great route running, you've got to have a way to get off the coverage at the line of scrimmage, and you've got to be able to read defenses and have a connection with your quarterback and make those catches in those clutch moments. He had a couple of close ones. I don't know if you consider them them drops or just bad throws by the quarterback or a little bit of both, but he didn't pull those 2 big plays in that he had a chance to against the Broncos. So let's see if he can pull some good ones in here when he gets Russell Wilson thrown to him. But I think big picture-wise, he's here to stay for a while, and I think he's going to do some great things. My guess is that in the end, he's going to be a better receiver than Jimmy Graham was as a tight end.
AskNorb.
Hey Norb, how you doing? My question is, Chris Carson, he had a great year last year. Do you think he's going to do really good this year?
Jackson from Iowa, thanks for your Ask Norb question. Chris Carson, one of the breakout players from last year, one of my favorite running backs in terms of a first-year player that I've ever seen. Will he have another great season this year? I'm going to say yes, he will. I do believe that they're going to be splitting time much more equally between Carson and Penny. They're going to be a nice complement to each other, and Carson's going to be that kind of bang it hard up the middle, get those tough yardage runs while Penny works the outside and gets the speed. And I think he's going to get worked more into the passing game this year. So I expect he may not have as many yards as he did last year, but I think he's going to have still a very productive season. But I think he'll get more receiving yards this year, keeping healthy being the key, of course.
AskNorb.
Hey Norb, this is Clayton Smith from Wenatchee, Washington. In week 1, who do you have starting on the defensive line? Thanks, Norb. Have a good day.
Clayton from Wenatchee, thank you for your Ask Norb question. My prediction for the starting defensive line in the first game of the regular season. At end, LJ Collier's ankle is going to heal up, and he's going to be good for that first game. So LJ Collier, Poona Ford at tackle, and then at the other tackle, I'm going to say that Al Wood steps up and takes the other tackle position. And then on the right side, Ziggy Ansah not get ready to go yet, so it's going to be Cassius Marsh. Collier, Ford, Woods, and Marsh.
AskNorb.
I was wondering by chance if you know what your overall record for the Seattle Seahawks is going to be this year.
Ryan from Michigan, thanks for your Ask Norb question. You want to know what my prediction for our record will be this year? Well, I'm not going to say it here because that's why I do my 2019 Seahawks prediction video, which comes up right before the first game of the regular season. And I will say my prediction for this team that year. But I'll give you a hint. I believe they're going to be better than 8-8, and they'll be somewhere less than 16-0.
AskNorb.
Okay, Norb, here's my question. How are we going to do it this year when last year's offensive line was not that good? What do you think about the offensive line? You've talked to my son, Jeremiah. He was excited. Thank you.
Omi from Seattle, thanks for your Ask Norb question. Your question is, how are we going to do this year? I would say our offensive line, actually, from a running game standpoint, was quite awesome. I'd love to see them repeat that type of performance that they did last year. Running game was very good. Passing game, yeah, we had a few too many sacks. Some of that is on the fault of the offensive line, but a lot of that also was on Russell Wilson holding on the ball occasionally too long and not trusting in the pass that he could have made. I think there's just that hesitation by Wilson not to turn the ball over. So in a 50-50 situation, he's more likely to hold it and not risk the interception than try to force a ball in a tight spot. And we did get some changes this year. J.R. Sweezy from left guard left, and we got Mike Ayupati, who is battling some injuries right now, so the left guard position is a little bit questionable. Ethan Posick perhaps might take his spot until he's ready to go. But otherwise, I feel pretty good that we've got one of the more stable line situations that we've had than in the past. We've got Dwayne Brown on the left, Pro Bowler, great player. Then on the guard, that's the question mark. Center, Justin Britt, doing fantastic. On the right, we got DJ Fluker. And then on the right, we've got Jermaine Ifedi, who is still trying to, get his game. He was definitely improved last year, having been the most penalized player the year before. Definitely showed some improvement, but I think now that it's kind of reaching the end of his rookie deal here, he's got something to prove to show that he belongs in the NFL as a right tackle. So we'll see if he can hold up his end of the deal there. But I feel pretty good overall on this offensive line.
AskNorb.
Hey Norb, who do you think our top running back is going to be? Chris Carson or Rashad Penny? I think it's going to be close either way. And one more thing, what do you think about the whole Schottenheimer thing where he's going to start doing different things with Chris Carson, like actually throwing him the ball instead of just continuously running him? What do you think about that? And go Seahawks.
Gavin from Bellevue, thank you for your Ask Norb question. Who's going to have the better season, Chris Carson or Rashad Penny? And what do I think of the possibly new approach in involving the backs in the passing game? Between the two, I think it's going to be close. I agree with you, but I think Chris Carson, that's my guy. I think he's going to have another great season this year. And as far as the idea of Schottenheimer trying to work the backs more into the passing game, I love that idea. I think we have some backs with some very good hands, really from Chris Carson, Rashad Penny, J.D. McKissick, and C.J. Prosise, if you could ever get to play. I mean, all those guys have been very good at receiving the ball. So I think it's a great... I've been wanting it more because so many teams do that against us where they'll get a back, he'll start in the backfield and then kind of drift into the middle into the middle, and then they'll just hit him with a little short pass, and then he'll run for another several yards and a first down. I'd love to see us do that a little bit more often, and a few more screen plays. I think nothing kills that aggressive pass rush than a nice, effective screen game. So I hope we can get that going into our repertoire this year.
AskNorb!
Hey Norb, it's Chris over here in the UK. Hope you're keeping well. My question for you. If a 12 was visiting Seattle for the first time, what 3 non-Seahawks places would you advise them to visit on this trip? Keep up the good work. Go Hawks.
Chris, all the way from the United Kingdom, thank you for your Ask Norb question. And that's a really good one. I love this question. So 3 non-Seahawk places to see for a 12 coming to Seattle for the first time. I'm going to cop out a little bit here and kind of answer it 2 different ways. The first one is, if this is going to be your one and only time and you're never going to come back here again, well, you've got to see the must-haves in terms of Seattle. So you got to go to Seattle Center, see the Space Needle and everything that goes with the Seattle Center, because you got the Museum of Pop Culture, you've got the Chihuly Glass Museum, everything that's right there at the base of the Space Needle. So you got to do that. You got to go to the Pike Place Market just because you see it all the time on TV. And if you don't go there, they'll say, well, how come you didn't go to Pike Place Market? Because it's kind of a staple tourist shot every time the national media comes to Seattle. So you got to do that one. And then the third one, probably along that line of cliche things to do, is to go to the waterfront up to the Great Wheel. Again, just so you could say you did it. And now you got the souvenir pictures and everything like that to go with. So those are kind of the must threes if you're only going to go to Seattle one time. If you're planning to come back more than one occasion, these are the 3 things I think you should see. One of them is you should do the Ride the Duck tour in Seattle. I stayed away from that just because when you live here, you don't really want to do tourist stuff. But I realized there was so much more about this city that I didn't know that I learned going on this Ride the Duck tour. It's fun. You go around the city. At one point, you go into the water. It's a fun time, and the drivers are very entertaining. So it's a great way to get a quick tour of the city and the city by water in a pretty short amount of time. Secondly, these are kind of 2 places, but if you're into scenic views and taking photographs, you got to go check out Cary Park on Queen Anne Hill. It's a great view of downtown Seattle and the Space Needle and the waterfront. You get a great view of the city from the other side at the Dr. Jose Rizal Park, which is just southeast of downtown Seattle, and you see all the postcard shots that are taken from there. Plus, it's a park that is in the honor of Filipino hero Dr. Jose Rizal. So it's a great park to visit as well as a great view of the city. To add to that one, you got to go across the water to West Seattle to Alki Point, where you can get a beautiful panoramic view of the city across the water. So those are 3 must-go places for photography. If you're here at a time other than during the football season, I'd say catch a game at T-Mobile Park, catch a Mariner game, or catch a Sounders game. I know it's CenturyLink Field and they share the place, but still, it's Sounders, not Seahawks. So just to take in a sports event in Seattle, heck, take in a Seattle Storm women's basketball game. I just think it's a great way to enjoy the fans and be part of the cultures, to catch some sporting activities while you're here. So there's so much more, and it all really depends on what you like to do, if you're more of an outdoors person or not. But that's a great question. If you ever come to Seattle, you want to meet up and take a look around the city, let me know.
AskNorb!
Hi NorbCam, this is Diana from Germany, cruising the Mediterranean Sea. Do you think 2019 is the season when the Seahawks are finally going back to the Super Bowl?
Diana from all the way in Germany and apparently in the Mediterranean Sea. Thank you for your question and video. Will 2019 be the year that the Seahawks finally get back to the Super Bowl? Whew. That is the question we're all wondering at this point. Everybody, every team's fans believe they all have a shot at the Super Bowl, and I'm one of them. I do believe that, I've said it many times this past year, that 2018 felt a lot like 2012. It was supposed to be a rebuild year. We weren't really supposed to do anything, and then we ended up going 10-6 and making the playoffs. So we kind of probably could have gone deeper. I think we should have beaten the Cowboys. And who knows, we could have gotten even further and maybe even made it back to the promised land last year. So knowing that happened, and then looking at our team this year and the upgrades that we've had offensively, the new guys on defense, we have a really exciting team. And I'd say we have the potential to go all the way. The key to making it there is going to start earlier than, the end of the season. But that is, we've got to beat the Rams at least once, preferably twice, which we almost did last year. We're that close each time. But the key is to win the division. And if we can get home field advantage, because when we do those things, we are like undefeated. Every time we've been 3-0 to get to the Super Bowl. So obviously the formula is clear. Win the division and get home field advantage. But that means we're going to have to beat some really good teams. NFC West alone is going to be tough, not to mention some of the other teams that we have played this year. Atlanta, Carolina, Pittsburgh. I mean, it's a tough schedule. But if we can make it through that and accomplish those things, yeah, we could definitely be there in 2019. All right, that's it for Ask Norb this session. I got a bunch more questions I didn't get to last time, but I will get to them in the next Ask Norb session. Again, if you want to send me your video questions, Twitter or Instagram at NorbCam, or you can email it to me at norb@norbcam.com, or reach me on Facebook. And a quick reminder for those of you who are in town, this Friday, August 23rd, is the first public screening of my documentary, Superfan, featuring Mark Collins and his role in starting Save Our Seahawks and keeping the Seahawks in Seattle. I'm excited to share this movie for the audience out there and all of you to finally get to see this film. It's a very important story in the Seahawks history. I hope a lot of you can come out. It's free at Carco Theater in Renton. Come check it out. See the link in my description. And finally, don't forget to subscribe. It helps me out big time. And hit that notification bell down below. And that way you'll be notified every time a new video comes out. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Go Hawks.